pause here. All right, I think we are live. It said it was having some problems, which is great. It's probably because every man and his dog in Australia has their aircon on. It's the middle of summer and we've just had a 44-degree day here in Sydney, especially in the area that I live in. So for those of us in Fahrenheit land, that's about 110, I think. So it's been exceedingly hot. So I'm going to start by saying we're back on for this year. It's 2017. We're first up for I Want to Know, and there are so many great topics I've already had planned for this particular for today as well, and also through the year. But because of this particular video gathering so much sort of attention, I guess media attention, and obviously in the last day or two I was tagged in a post by Mel in South Australia, and I thought, you know what, I might actually just, instead of kind of doing a great big long sort of paragraph going, now have a look at this and blah blah blah, I thought, you know what, let's just do an I Want to Know. And an interesting developments come through with Nick mentioning something about this particular video as well that was confirmed in a report. So I think that's really interesting. We'll mention that as well, but I still think it's really good to actually just kind of go through and see with this particular video why, what's in it, and little things, because videos like this give a lot of clues that they don't really think a lot of people will pick up on. And I think over the years, when you do get used to investigating, you get used to how unpredictable possible paranormal stuff can be. So when this stuff comes up, you're like, it's a little bit interesting. So hi to everybody. Hey Karen, how are you? So glad you could join. So yes, I Want to Know will be on Facebook, Access Paranormal's Facebook page from here on in. So it's just a lot easier to manage and all that sort of fun stuff. So let's get into it. Now, I posted the link of this particular video to an article that I found that had the most information on it. And there's a couple of reasons, of course, for that. So firstly, when something like this is publicized, hello everybody, hello Karen, hey Jim, good to see you. Gosh, it's early where you are. That's dedication. No one else is up at 3 or 4 in the morning. So thank you very much, Jim. So yes, no, when a video like this does get actually sent out virally, there's the very first thing I look at is the fact of where it's come from. So if there's a source, if there's a name, if there's where the person lives, you know, some context around it, I'd like to see if I can find information on that particular person. So that can be something that's the first thing I try to look at. Sometimes just by doing that, you can actually discover more about the video without even really having to review it. So you can get a lot from that kind of information as objectively as you can. And secondly, also finding the article with the most written information about it as well. And I think that's really important too, because you want some context of how it was taken, why it ended up the way it was, what was the person doing at the time, where were they, day or night, all that kind of stuff. And I mean, it's almost like as if someone was to give you a video of what they may have captured, you're going to want to know the backstory behind it kind of stuff. So a little bit like that. Hey Jim, hey Amy, I'm glad to see you could join as well. So what we'll do is we'll go into it. So normally, as I said, I would look at who has submitted the video, who it's actually under. You will hear notifications because I do have to leave the sound on for the video. So you might hear ding, 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 ding. So apologies. So do look at the name first, where it's come from, and then also reading the article. But for the purposes of this particular video, what we're going to do is actually just look at the article and then go straight into the video, and then we'll look at some information about the person who actually posted it. So I'm going to flip the camera around. So give me a second. I have to work this out. Here we go. All right. Okay, hopefully you can see that just as well as I can. Of course, where you are in Facebook land, that probably looks back to front. So unless you're a Satanist, you're going to have a little bit of difficulty reading it. So what I will do is I will actually read it for you. So it says, here's a story to file under nope. That's a very Australian thing. It says, after his daughter repeatedly told him something was bothering her, a concerned father, and it's interesting because they've actually hyperlinked that, so they don't very rarely do that, so that's a very interesting indication already, installed CCTV cameras in his house only to witness a possessed doll moving on its own accord. Okay, so that's the first thing I found really interesting. It was a concerned father and the little girl, something was bothering her. In the clip, the little girl is playing with some of her toys when a pigtailed doll sitting off to one side can be seen tilting its head in 2 different directions. Even more so disturbingly is a second clip. The child can be seen colouring in a different room before a freak gust of wind. Her papers are fluttering across the table, right? Now, after she returns from the room, heavier objects begin moving, culminating in the table itself shifting and twisting from the force. Now, the video has been watched nearly 6 million times, but at this point you can see down here it says 6.7 million times. And then it says lots of people are talking about it. The video has been watched, and it was posted on Facebook by La Autre Dimension, and I may have the wrong pronunciation for that, so I do apologise, and has divided opinion, and with commentators and commenters arguing about whether the incidences have been staged. So this is the video here. Now, normally when it comes to stuff like this, so hopefully you guys can see that well enough as from where you are, when you're looking at this, the first clue, if somebody sends me any videos, whether it's viral or anything like that, is the angle. Now in this situation, because it's gone viral, I'm going to be more suspicious, in fact probably even more than most, if it's actually someone from an investigation just wanting an opinion. If this is already public, I'm going to be really suspicious. So I tried to take a little bit of that out, but there is a little bit of that in the first place. Sorry, excuse me. So the first big clue for me is the frame. It's the frame of this particular scene. It's too perfect. It has this gorgeous little girl there, and it has the doll that will move, which we'll see soon, right there. It's now, for those of us who have investigated for a little while or only just starting out, we know that paranormal phenomena is really, really unpredictable. So to get everything on the one screen is so rare. So at first I thought, wow, this is the perfect storm. Already my red flags are up. Apologies for the notifications, beautiful people. So, right, what we'll do now is we'll play part of the video and we'll have a listen as well. So that's why I've got the notification sounds coming through, because I've got the volume up so we can actually listen, because I think even the sound gives a bigger clue almost to then the actual visual footage. So I'll press play. Now, I'm going to stop it there for the first part, just for that section. For a little girl that's really disturbed, she seems really chilled. Now, that's the first thing I've noticed. Secondly, if it's CCTV, now they claim it to be, now apologies with this video, I've got some text across here, but underneath that, that's a date stamp and a time stamp here. You can actually have those imposed on any video post-production, so although they say it's CCTV, I take that with a grain of salt. But also they've got their logo here, and Facebook, which is some nice advertising. That's really telling as well. But I just find it, for CCTV, it needs to be discreet. If someone said, I've got CCTVs in my house and cameras and the likes, and we've seen some of the, the security footage or the store footage, they're up in the corner. This one seems to, it's almost like at my height, and that's short. So it seems to be a camera on a stand, and that to me doesn't really seem like a CCTV type situation. Again, it could be the person may have just makeshifted it. They may be a little bit cash strapped and can't do CCTV. But this particular one, I just thought, oh, it just seems, the camera just seems right in the middle of the room. It doesn't seem to be off to the side or in a corner where it's not in the way. I mean, to me, that just seems to be in a hallway almost. But because we don't know the floor plan of the house, it just seems a very strange position for someone who says they've got CCTV cameras. So we'll keep playing it. So as you can see, and hopefully you can, because it might be a little bit difficult, so I do apologize, but their doll's head moved this way, then this way. Now, this part of the hair also moved down as well. Now, if it was a doll that was moving its hair wouldn't move down with it. That was the first indication that this was staged. And secondly, the movement itself. So the movement is very, very slow. It's very calculated. For me, if it had to be something of interest, the head had to be spinning off its shoulders. So that's kind of the vibe I got when I first looked at that. I went, yeah, I don't know, that something doesn't sit right with me. So it's very, very interesting. The doll seems to obviously sit comfortably there. Also, it's sitting in front of a chair. We don't know what's between the doll and the chair as well. There could be anything going on there. And also I noticed at one point just after that happened that the little girl actually looks over in that direction. And I thought that was really strange because it's a very subtle movement. It wouldn't have moved enough for her to actually have picked it up if she's concentrating on something else, so in the corner of her eye. And also, you know, almost like she was kind of waiting for it to be finished. That's the vibe I got when I watched. It was almost like, oh, is it done yet? Do I have to keep playing or pretending to play? So that was just my vibe. So yeah, that's the first part. So for me, myself, looking at that, I would say that's staged. That's been hoaxed, I guess you could say. All right, now we're going to the second one. Now again, looking at the frame of this particular scene, again, the camera's smack bang in the middle of the room. So if it's CCTV, it's in a weird spot. It could be up against a wall, we don't know. But when the child does walk out the room, or more than likely run, she runs out from this section here. So there could be a doorway here, we don't know. It's very difficult, but it just seems a very strange spot to put a camera. But anyway, we'll watch this. The other big clue I noticed as well, it's very dark. The room is quite dark. It could be down to the camera's light balance. It could be the fact it's just set up that way and it's actually darker and struggling against the low light. But it's a really dark room. Now, if there's a child colouring in a dark room, that's a bit strange to me. I don't know. I don't have children, but I do have a lot of friends who do. And I don't know many kids who colour in the dark. So yeah, that was the first things that kind of came to mind when I first started to look at this particular video. Now I'm going to stop it there because in the first video as well as this one, there's a lot of street noise. And that's really interesting because then it gives you a bit of an idea if this has been done authentically, and we're hypothetically saying anything like vocally or anything that's said, any reactions, they're genuine at the time. So it's really interesting to keep a note of the fact that there's a lot of street sound, a lot of sound bouncing around, so they're in a busy area, but also that the sound that's happening when all this stuff occurs should be legit, should be, but it's just something to keep in mind, that just how much sound is bouncing around in this particular location. Okay, so that's the first bit. The paper's moving on the top there. The biggest clue for me is that the wind direction seems to be coming across the table. Now the direction that it's coming is the biggest clue. It's coming from behind here. I can't see what's behind there. I've got no idea. To me, I could only assume it could be a hallway into another section, or behind this particular shelving area here. It looks like it could be like a box, or it could even be a TV behind there. Easily something could be behind there that could blow wind across. And you'll notice the second time the wind blows in the same direction. So again, if it was something that's unpredictable phenomena, the papers would be going up, down, they'll be sliding, you name it. It's maybe I'm spoiled. Maybe it's just the Amityville horror movie or something. But for me, if it's going to be a spontaneous phenomena, it's going to be spontaneous. It's not going to be constantly a wind draft across the table twice. So anyway, we'll watch a bit more. Now that's what's the part I'm saying is very interesting about the sound. You hear her run and then she stops. This is a small place, or she's gone not too far, so she runs and then she stops. She also doesn't call out for her parents. She doesn't call out for a guardian. I don't know how many cool, calm kids don't call out for anybody once something like that happens. So again, I found that very, very telling, is the reaction of the child. If that happened to me, I'd be screaming my head off if I was that age. But there's none of that happening, and that to me was the biggest alarm as well. So she's run, but she hasn't run too far. Now, if this is really bothering her, she'd be wanting help. And again, where's the guardians? Where's the parents? Why would you leave a child colouring in a room and not be anywhere in sight or anywhere within the building, because there's nothing that happens in this particular time period? So what I will do is then also play a bit more. So again, they blew off the same direction as the first time. So the wind draft's coming from the same corner, and she seems again very chilled. So she's run off again, and again nothing is heard from her. She's not asking for anybody. She's not yelling for help. She doesn't want comfort. She just run. And I don't know where the parents are. I have no idea. So again, that to me screams staged for me. Now, when objects move like that, now Karen had posted a link to a really, really great video, which I'm hoping to post a link again later, or if she is able to as well, is one I've seen ages ago, and it's a really good video about how this phenomena can actually be faked and how it can be also then tweaked in post-production, and it doesn't take a lot to do it. It is very, very easy, and the big clues is the objects jump once. They jump once and they leave and they break or they fall down, and that's it. They're not constantly moving. They're not moving around all the time. They've had their moment. They've been tugged and pulled from whatever direction. And again, this is low light. So again, that makes me suspicious of this as well. But we'll just see all the other objects. Oh, and the table. The table's my favorite, but anyway, we'll go into that. Now, see how, okay, before that table moves, okay, now this is weird because the tables, when I've seen them move, this is just from my experience, and it can be very different for other people, and I completely and utterly respect that. But the time, for me, my biggest a sort of moment when it came to watching something I have not been able to explain has been a table moving on its own with two hands on the top of it, and it didn't move like that. It moved like it as in one piece, not kind of dragging. That's just from my experience, not to say that that was 100% paranormal in any way, but it was something I've not been able to explain. But it doesn't move like this table. You can see this end here, it starts to drag, it starts to pull in that direction. It almost like it pulls a bit too much and then doesn't go any further. So we'll back up a little bit and see if you can spot that. So it pulls, and then tries to drag. Oh, no, there you go. So, so that was really interesting. So from my observation, this has been completely staged, and obviously from what Nick has said as well, not too long ago as well. And again, if you can actually post that link, that'd be great. If you haven't already, I haven't checked the chat yet, my dear, so apologies. We'll have a look at the Facebook profile of this person. Again, very rarely you're going to have contact details of anyone who really posts this, or a public profile. Sometimes they may have a personal profile page on Facebook, but this was really, really telling. Now, what we'll do is we'll jump on here, and as you can see, this is their Facebook page. So that's the person here. Now, it's a page. It's not actually a profile. So that's the first thing. So they've got their featured video here, right there. And as you scroll, oh, sorry, I'll scroll up. The cover page or cover photo is a, if you can, it might be a bit dark, is a spooky house. It's a spooky mansion, and they've got the logo up here. So this person clearly is interested in spooky stuff. Then we scroll all the way down past our featured video, and you've got a paranormal section. And you've got Derek Okora, and you've got all these different types of videos here of alleged paranormal activity happening in public places that people have captured. So this person has a lot of knowledge and or interest in this type of stuff. So after a while, especially with the video that is the videos that are out there that can actually help tell you how this particular stuff is created, this could very well have been something they've done on the side. But from what Nick has said from a report, this has actually been done due to advertisement of some sort. And that doesn't surprise me because this looks rather professionally done. All that, you know, that you've got posts and, you know, your videos about all this sort of thing. So this person certainly knows what they're doing. They're very interested in what they're doing. And I've just found it, yeah. So here we got a tear apart as well, just in case. Well, and we've got some entertainment stuff as well. So that's the biggest clue. Often, if I was to have just found this on its own, I would have said, well, I'm not even going to review it. It's not even worth it because this has been well and truly made up and or staged. So that is my review on this interesting video. So Nick, if you are, oh sorry, don't want to make you sick. Nick, if you are about, please post the links. If you're watching this later on, post it elsewhere. I will actually make sure that those links are available with this particular post so you're actually able to review it as well. So hopefully you guys got a bit of an insight into how this type of stuff can look like. Again, it comes from experience. It comes from reviewing stuff like that. I'm not saying all videos that are ever posted ever out there only have the intent to be fraudulent in any way. Absolutely not. But there are some that are quite obvious in that regard. And as I said, to the untrained eye, it can be very, very easy to deceive. So hopefully everybody had a great time watching that and you got something out of it. And again, I can't wait to read all the comments afterwards as well. So thanks for watching. Until next week, the next I Want to Know topic I will post in the next couple of days as well. So thanks much for watching. Bye.